But that was the first time we kind of saw, oh, wait a minute, Anna was found, and it might have happened at the hands of her stepbrother. This is what she's referencing. So it's November 17th, 2025. It's 3:25 p.m. So Shauntel says, I just want to let you know it is out. Some a-hole posted something. She's acting like she didn't know who this guy is. Shauntel is pissed that the news got out about their son. I think it is Donahue's tweet. And then Thomas goes, his family. So he's referencing Chris Kepner's family. Like, look, Shauntel, that's your husband's family put this out. Okay, Shauntel says, not Chris's family, basically. It's the ex-wife's family. She wrote, I'm just going to read it how she wrote it. Can it wait till tomorrow? We about to be home, and this is the first time we will be home without the 16-year-old son and Anna. I don't know how we will be, and we will know exactly more when the autopsy is done. Once we get the autopsy today, so she's saying that Sunday, they should have had Anna's autopsy. Once we get the autopsy today, depending on what it says, depend on whether he's booked on these charges. Shauntel just told the little girl that the 16-year-old was having a hard time coping with losing Anna. So he's getting checked out. And it's like, okay, he's having a hard time coping with losing Anna. Shauntel writes back, well, Chris, me, and his parents told him that yesterday before they took him. We told him no matter what, you and us are with him. He is not alone. That's what Shauntel is reiterating. You know, she's saying, this is what I told our 16-year-old. She's telling her ex, I told her son, despite it all, he's not alone. Well, Thomas says, well, we need to have a short, serious talk over the phone. Or this, you need to call me. And then he sends a screenshot, and I can tell it's likely from that, it has the weird print, the weird font he must use on his phone. Yeah, but it's from that Channel Now or whatever that published the 16-year-old's photo. Do you have to grab the 18-year-old, force him, take his phone, turn off his phone, have Chris Kepner hold him against the seat, and he thinks he blacked out a couple of times? I was like, what? What is happening? Oh, vacation plans. Here we go. I missed this. Page 66. Thomas says to Shauntel about these vacation plans, I'm not sure if I'm willing to sign the forms. Wow. I'm not okay with my kids going out of the country. This makes me want to cry because if only that 16-year-old had not gone out of the country, Anna would likely still be alive. Until I kept my mouth shut. When you told me that you can't jeopardize your marriage for helping the 16-year-old, your son. Whoa, chills. You look scared tonight, and you need to know that my kids come before anyone, even though I haven't been able to see them for almost 2 years. I'll never hesitate. This is too much drama. Wow. And this is what tripped me out here. Okay, Thomas, he says to Shauntel on the 27th at 10:50 a.m., are you okay with our little girl seeing the 16-year-old for a little bit today? This might be the last time they get to see each other for a long time. It won't be long, just for a little bit. I'm like, whoa.
The respondent in this case goes ahead and tells the petitioner that she would like to take the children on a cruise. In which case, it is related to this. On a cruise, right? And then in which case...
Your Honor, I'm going to object. You just sent an email to counsel yesterday indicating that you were
I
only
did.
hearing...
I did. Two things.
Well, we're finally getting new information about Anna Kepner, the 18-year-old girl. Beautiful, smart, talented. She lost her life on a Carnival Horizon cruise ship. So it happened, most likely, as far as we know, at the hands of her 16-year-old stepbrother. She was on the cruise with her stepmom, her bio dad, and others. For the first time ever, we get to see the text messages that Anna Kepner's stepmother sent to her ex, only about 32 hours after Anna was found, not alive, unfortunately, underneath a cruise ship bed. Now, I'm still not going to say the name of this 16-year-old boy. I will just call him TH, but these new court documents tell us a lot. We know Anna Kepner likely lost her life Thursday night. It hasn't been proven. We haven't gotten this information from the FBI yet, but she likely lost her life Thursday, November 6th, that night sometime, at the hands of her stepbrother in the cabin that they shared on that ship. She was found that Friday morning, around 11 a.m. or so. That Friday would have been November 7th. Well, now for the first time ever, we get to see 32 hours later what her stepmom, Shauntel, these emergency text messages she was sending to her ex-husband, Thomas Hudson. They've been in this big battle, Thomas Hudson and Shauntel, Anna's stepmom. A lot of people get confused about this family tree. There's so many people involved. Shauntel sent this frantic text message to her ex-husband about 32 hours after Anna was found. So we're going to go over it for the first time ever. The messages are so difficult to read. I will just pop one up here to show you an example of I've never seen a PDF this difficult to read. So I'm warning you in advance, these are difficult to read. But we get to see Shauntel's state of mind after Anna was found, what she thought, what she said, what she knew. She will talk about the 16-year-old with Thomas, who is his biological dad, and also is definitely a suspect in Anna's death. We don't know when and if he will be charged. Shauntel talks about him potentially being charged. There's so much in these text messages. I was surprised. And now I know how the Daily Mail tracked down this 16-year-old boy. They found him in this ATV riding around, and he was apparently by himself and trying to sell logs and stuff, sell wood. Now I see how they found him because the court documents basically reveal it. But I'm not going to say the name of the family member or anyone. I'm not going to say where he's staying. I'm not going to reveal anything like that. What I will talk about is the context and the content of these text messages, how Shauntel is going to write to her ex. And this is the first time we will be home without TH and Anna. And, they're going to see how it goes. And some a-hole posted something. She was mad about what was being posted online. Oh my goodness, this surprised me too. Only about 21 days after Anna's death, Thomas, who is the 16-year-old's dad, he's asking Shauntel, are you okay with basically the 16-year-old's little sister, are you okay with her seeing him for a little bit today? This might be the last time that they get to see each other for a long time. It won't be long, just for a little bit. And I was like, oh, that kind of threw me aback. So anyway, I see why the Daily Mail was able to find Anna's 16-year-old stepbrother driving this Polaris Ranger XP 1000 full-size UTV, the camouflage edition, because they read these same recently released court documents. It's a huge exhibit list. And since Anna's stepmom is going through this heated kind of custody back and forth battle with her ex, Anna's name has come up as part of their battle because Thomas doesn't want the other kids or didn't want the other children in Shauntel's custody the whole time because, look at what Shauntel did with the 16-year-old. Took them on a cruise and look what happened. Anna didn't come back and the 16-year-old came back and now he might be sent up the river someday. There's so much, but now I see why Daily Mail tracked them down. Also, during the most recent emergency hearing that Thomas had, it was a motion for contempt and enforcement. It just happened on December 17th before this judge, Sandra Valentine. Shauntel's lawyer objected to any mention of Carnival cruises. But let's get to these text messages. I want to read them to you. I can't put everything on the screen because I'm not going to dox anyone. If you want to read them yourself and see how difficult it is, I'll put the link to my Patreon below. I'll upload them there, but I'm warning you now, they're hard to read. So there's a few documents here. And in the meantime, I still see nothing. I see nothing at all about the 16-year-old being in custody or anything as of this filming. Today is Friday, December 19th. It's 4:08 p.m. as I'm filming this. Shauntel starts texting her ex about this emergency that happened right after Anna lost her life. The text prior to that says, It's from her ex, Thomas. He's asking, did the 16-year-old boy get a new phone number? My texts are no longer going through. That is dated Saturday, January 18th. It must be 2025. Or actually, that's a different text. There's a different date. The next text, which is dated Saturday, January 18th, says, see if the 16-year-old or their younger daughter, I'll just say T or B, like they try to do in court, but they accidentally said their name sometimes too. See if T or B can call me, please. That's the 16-year-old boy accused of Anna's death and their little daughter, B. Now that was way back in January 18th. There's nothing in between that until Shauntel texts her ex, Saturday, November 8th, that's the day the cruise pulled back into port that morning, Saturday, November 8th, and they debarked maybe around 8 a.m. Saturday, November 8th, but it's not until 7:35 p.m. I thought, wow, that's pretty late. Now, of course, while Shauntel was on the cruise, I understand potentially why. Maybe it wouldn't have worked. I mean, I was able to text people when I was on my cruise to the Bahamas, but maybe it doesn't work the same way. I don't know what kind of package she got. She would have known Friday, November 7th, that Anna was found that morning, 11:17 a.m. Shauntel would have known. I don't see any Friday, November 7th text messages coming through. I don't see Shauntel texting her ex, who is the biological father of this 16-year-old boy who was on the cruise, as well as the little girl who was on the cruise too. I don't see her texting him at all on Friday. Maybe she couldn't get to him, I don't know. And not even Saturday morning when they made it back to Port Miami, I don't see any text coming through until Saturday, November 8th at 7:35 p.m., nearly 32 hours after Anna was found. Shauntel texts Thomas, I need you to call me ASAP. It's an emergency. So to me, it's not funny, of course. This is a tragedy, but it's kind of humorous or ironic in a way that Shauntel is telling her ex-husband, now that it's Saturday night, she's like, call me ASAP. It's an emergency. And I was thinking, wow, was there no way to get in contact with him that Friday all day? Okay, I'll give you that. You're still away at sea. Maybe there was no way to get through. I don't know what kind of package you had, but Saturday morning when you pulled into Port Miami, even then, whatever, they must have spoken because Thomas texted her back. I know it's probably a no, but can I come get B tonight just to get her away from the situation? I promise I'm not going to keep her from you or anything. As soon as you guys are able to head home, I can bring her to you. Or is there anything else I can do? Shauntel looks like, there's always a lot of excuses. I've read through a lot of these emails and stuff. Shauntel is like, I really do appreciate it. And I'm not trying to be any which way. I just think it'd be more traumatic. I just think it'd be more traumatizing for her to be removed. As of right now, she doesn't know anything about the 16-year-old. The only thing I told her is that he was having a hard time coping with losing Anna. He's getting checked out by the hospital. So this is Saturday, 8:30 p.m. So obviously between that time she sent him that first text around 7:35 or whatever, that Saturday, November 8th, they've spoken. And then the ex is saying, well, can I come get our young daughter so she won't have to be around all that? And Shauntel is like, no, it'll be too traumatizing for her. She doesn't know anything about the 16-year-old brother basically being accused or a suspect. Shauntel just told the little girl that the 16-year-old was having a hard time coping with losing Anna. So he's getting checked out. And it's like, okay, he's having a hard time coping with losing Anna. It's like if he's the one who took Anna's life away. Anyway, the ex says, okay, well, I'm not trying to push it, but the offer is there when you find out more and have to handle things. It's easier to read his side, but hers is just like, oh my goodness. Maybe someone, I don't even know if a PDF to text would work. I have to kind of highlight them to try and read it. Shauntel says, when we have to cross that bridge, you and I will come up with a way to tell her and Andrew. Now, I'm just going to say Andrew's name because Andrew is their oldest son. He's 18 now. He's been in court. His face is out there. He's an adult. So to not confuse everyone, because everyone gets so confused with who's who in this case, I will call the 18-year-old Andrew. Shauntel and Thomas, They are the biological parents of the 18-year-old Andrew, the 16-year-old accused of harming Anna, TH or T, and the little girl, she's like 9 or something, B. So Thomas just says, okay. And now Shauntel says, I will call you tomorrow as soon as I hear anything. So that's still Saturday night. He says, okay. So now it is the next day. This is November 9th. Thomas is saying, are you able to talk or see our 16-year-old? Shauntel says, I'm waiting on the FBI, also the doctor, to call me as soon as they know something. I promise you that I won't. I will call you. And I was like, what? And she goes, stupid talk to text. But it's probably what she really meant. I don't know. She wrote again, I promise you, as soon as I get a call, but you were going to be the first person I called. Shauntel also says, as soon as I know anything, you will be the only one I will be calling. So this is where Shauntel starts really wanting to keep it under wraps. She's going to get really angry when they start seeing some social media posts that, start mentioning their son, the 16-year-old, and even some published his photo. I'm talking about ones that weren't even blurred. So Thomas writes back, I get that, but I mean, have you talked to him, the 16-year-old, while he's at the facility? Okay, Shauntel says, I was able to talk to him. I was able to talk to him last night for basically under 2 minutes. Pretty much he just keeps repeating over and over. He can't remember anything. So that's the same thing the grandma Kepner had said, Barbara Kepner had said, this boy just keeps saying he can't remember anything, repeating it over and over. Shauntel writes, I don't even know if they were allowed to let me talk to him or not. But the nurse was very nice and let me talk to him, just to tell him that you and I love him. So Shauntel got to talk to the 16-year-old. Thomas is like, I just want him to know that he isn't just dead to everyone. Regardless of everything at the moment, he needs his parents. I know you know that. I just would like to have a chance to talk to him as soon as possible. Shauntel writes back, well, Chris, me, and his parents told him that yesterday before they took him. We told him no matter what, you and us are with him. He is not alone. That's what Shauntel is reiterating. She's saying, this is what I told our 16-year-old. She's telling her ex, I told her son, despite it all, he's not alone. So Thomas says, okay, I know everything is supposed to be hush-hush for now. So this is still November 9th. This is that Sunday, the day after the ship has rolled back into the port and people are just kind of starting to find out, but we had no idea all this was going on. So Thomas says, okay, I know everything is supposed to be hush-hush for now, but I've seen that it is still getting out with posts and comments between Facebook, TikTok, and stuff. I just want to make sure until things are certain that he doesn't get any unnecessary comments towards him. So Thomas doesn't want his son getting unnecessary comments. I get it. It's his knee-jerk reaction to care about his son, Shauntel's knee-jerk reaction. But, already they move into this protective mode over the 16-year-old. And unfortunately, you can't help but think, what did Anna suffer? Okay, so we're still on November 9th here. It's like 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Shauntel wrote back, nobody knows anything about him. He's a minor and has been kept completely out of it. Yeah, back then. We have not said anything to anybody, and we are going to try our best to keep it completely out. He's a minor, so his name shouldn't be anywhere. And when we talk to the FBI again, we will reiterate that we do not want his name out there. And everything that's been posted on TikTok and social media, nobody knows anything, and everybody's just speculating. So hard to read this. We know what I told you last night, and we will know exactly more when the autopsy is done. Once we get the autopsy today, so she's saying that Sunday, they should have had Anna's autopsy. Once we get the autopsy today, depending on what it says, depend on whether he's booked on these charges. So as soon as that Sunday, Shauntel was saying, look, as soon as we get Anna's autopsy, we should have it today. We will know what'll happen with our son if he's booked. And it's strange, freaked me out for a while. Initially, it's so hard to read. I thought she was saying, you will stop seeing Anna's name because the autopsy will be out, or I didn't understand what she was saying, but it says you will start seeing Anna's name. So she was waiting for the autopsy to come out that Sunday. Shauntel was, and then she's saying, you will start seeing Anna's name, but she thinks, you're not going to see our son's name. That's what she was thinking. So Thomas writes back, I understand and know his name wasn't mentioned. I just want you aware if you weren't aware. Okay, and so Shauntel's saying, what exactly do you tell Andrew? Because, you know, their oldest Andrew, he testified in court. I'll probably play that whole court hearing, the most recent one coming up, because I tried to really boost the audio and do some things with it so you can hear. Andrew was the 18-year-old who testified to some pretty bad treatment, according to him, by his mother and Chris Kepner, who, you know, held him in the car and took him away from school. He wanted to finish out his senior year wherever he was living with his dad, and basically let Andrew tell it. Shauntel and Chris Kepner forced him to stay in that car and held him like in a chokehold against the seat. That was horrible. Andrew lives with Thomas, with his dad, so that's why Shauntel is saying, what exactly do you tell Andrew? So Shauntel says, I don't want to say something that you haven't told him. So she's just, you know, trying to get on the same page. Thomas says, I've told him what I know, so he doesn't hear or see all the theories that is on social media that I've seen. There's a lot going around. So already by that Sunday, Thomas says he is okay, just kind of still hard for him to believe. I bet. Shauntel says, okay, he was asking me. I just didn't want to mention the 16-year-old if you hadn't. Okay, Thomas says, I did. I didn't want anything else to be said online. So I don't know if Thomas is saying he told Andrew about his brother. I mentioned him, but I don't know what Thomas told Andrew at that point. This is good. Thomas says, I feel like he needs to be told the truth by us just so nothing is twisted. He knows not to tell anyone. Okay, this is still Sunday, and you will see a lot of this. This is Thomas, again, begging to talk to his own daughter. That's a common theme throughout. You know, this is why this exhibit is coming into this horrible family court case. It seems like they could have worked it out better. Shauntel, Anna's stepmom, and I keep repeating who they are because people say they get confused. Shauntel, Anna's stepmother, and her ex, Thomas Hudson, they share children. Shauntel took some of these children on the cruise with her, but they have been going back and forth fighting over these children. One common theme that Thomas has in writing, in text messages, and in emails is him asking over and over and over again, can I please talk to our daughter? Can I talk to our 16-year-old son? Did his number change? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. You'll see Shauntel a lot of times making excuses, or maybe she's telling the truth, I don't know, saying they don't want to talk to you. There's a lot of back and forth. Shauntel will claim, like her lawyer did in court, oh, I set up times for us to meet and he didn't meet. They're going to talk about counselors, and there's a lot of back and forth. Now, Shauntel, I give her credit if any claims were true. If she was afraid of any children being in danger with her ex, I understand that would be a good reason to keep the kids away from the ex. However, Thomas, for his portion, is saying, and so is Andrew, verifying, he's claiming my dad has never been violent with me. So it looks like these children are being used as pawns in this hurtful divorce. Anyway, Thomas is asking again, can I please talk to our daughter when you get a chance, just for a little? I won't say anything about the 16-year-old, her brother. I just want to tell her I love her. Okay, so here comes back the excuse. It took 3 hours later for her to text him back. You will see that a lot. She's not very responsive to him sometimes, but Shauntel says, I will call you back in a few. We are on the phone with the FBI victim specialist. Thomas says, okay. You going up there to see him? Shauntel says, we just got here. Thomas says, can I get the number of the place so I can try and call to talk to him if he wants? So she passes along the number. Was anything said? So I don't know what we missed in there. Maybe they, spoke or something, or he's just asking what was said. That's like 7:05 p.m. Sunday, November 9th. Shauntel says, no, I got to see him for less than 10 minutes, and they told me to come back tomorrow. Thomas is like, can you talk for a sec? Okay. Shauntel says, let me get into our room. Thomas says, okay. Now, I'm not going to say this name of her family member, but Shauntel says her family member wants to talk to you. Is that okay? I'm not saying his name because I believe that's the family member that the 16-year-old boy is staying with. Okay, so Thomas says, in a minute, almost to the job, I have people in the truck. Okay, and so I think Shauntel is saying, I will in a little bit. Then Thomas says, anything new? Shauntel writes, the FBI is on the way here now to talk to us, and I should be hearing from the doctor around 11. So that was, now we've moved on to Monday, November 10th, 9:38 a.m. Thomas says, I'm here. How long till he wants to call? Shauntel writes, I don't know yet. He went downstairs. I don't know. I can tell him to text you before he calls you. Okay, Thomas says, and then later it's like 11:19 a.m. Anything? It's like a couple hours later almost. Shauntel says, as soon as I know something, the FBI just got here. Okay, so the FBI is talking to her. Thomas says, okay. Shauntel gives him the name of the family member. He's going to call you. Thomas says, right now? Shauntel says, and explain what the FBI said. Soon. Alrighty. Thomas says, okay. Shauntel says, I also talk to the doctor while in the middle of the FBI. So I do not know what all was said with the FBI. I left to talk to the doctor. As of right now, it's a good possibility he will be released Wednesday. So this is when the 16-year-old, I guess, was still in the hospital. So this is Monday. Shauntel is talking to her ex and saying he might get out Wednesday. Okay, so Thomas says, okay, can we get him closer to over here so I can get him help? He wants to get help for the 16-year-old boy. Shauntel texts, the social worker will be calling me to help with that. They are also trying to get him closer to us, if possible. So it's like the battle again. Thomas is asking, can our 16-year-old be closer to me? You know, one of them is in Titusville, the other one is somewhere else. 2 different parts of Florida. Shauntel is like saying, no, we'll be getting him over here closer to us. Thomas texts back, he says, okay, I tried talking to him, called twice, but they hung up. They are calling me already from the news. If they got my number, that means they will find my mom's. I'm going to have to tell her around about what is going on and tell her not to talk to anyone, just a heads up. So by now it's Sunday, it's 2:10 p.m. They're already calling Anna Kepner's stepmother's ex-husband. So the news knows about it, obviously. Okay, Shauntel sends him a text message of some kind of law group in Clearwater, Florida. Now, Thomas says, do you have a case number and FBI numbers contact? And then he must not hear from her because this is like 3:47 p.m. By 5:23 p.m., he follows up. You busy? Shauntel texts back about an hour later. She says, I'm with my pastor. She's asking, can it wait till tomorrow? We about to be home. This is the one that got me too. She wrote, I'm just going to read it how she wrote it. Can it wait till tomorrow? We about to be home, and this is the first time we will be home without the 16-year-old son and Anna. I don't know how we will be. Okay, so that's still that Monday, the 10th. Thomas says, okay. So she's sending over more contact information, this guy who is the lead FBI contact. And Thomas says, still need that info. That's the FBI agent? So now we have moved into apparently Tuesday, November 11th. Shauntel is sending what wrong number? Hold on, wrong guy. She sends him the wrong guy. And then she sends him the right lead FBI in the investigation, his number. Thomas gives her a thumbs up. Shauntel says, I don't have a case number. Thomas says, he'll have it. Shauntel says, yes. Thomas says, I'm not okay with him going anywhere other than a facility or family blood like a relative. I'm still working on attorney, but today is a holiday, so I'll be talking with Pete's people in his firm as well as others. I'd also like to talk to our daughter for a few to check on her. So he still hasn't talked to his daughter. He writes, who's his doctor that he sees there at the facility name? And then he's writing, what did you need? We are moving into the next day. I believe this is Wednesday, November 12th. Yep, this is the Wednesday. So I wonder if this is the day that the 16-year-old was released. It's Wednesday, November 12th, 7:49 a.m. Eastern. So this is the agreement. All parties agree that the 16-year-old will be under the care and supervision of Shauntel's family member. He will reside with this family member at his residence until both parents provide written consent for him to live elsewhere. Both parents agree that neither may remove the 16-year-old from the family's care without the mutual written agreement of both parents. Both parents further agree that this family member will be granted temporary power of attorney and medical power of attorney for the 16-year-old, allowing him to facilitate counseling, medical treatment, and the administration of any prescribed medications as needed. All parties agree that this 16-year-old's location will remain confidential and will not be disclosed to anyone other than his parents and law enforcement authorities. Well, the Daily Mail figured it out. This agreement will be printed, signed, and notarized, with each parent and the family member receiving a copy of the finalized document. Okay, so Thomas questions anything. I don't know if these are in the right order or if we're missing something, but by 11, I don't know why Thomas is asking anything. Okay, Shauntel says, waiting on the doctor to call me back. Maybe he's just waiting. Is the 16-year-old out yet? Shauntel says, he will be discharged today. I just got off the phone with the doctor. They're calling my family member to get his address. Thomas says, okay, good, thanks. Shauntel is pissed that the news got out about their son. I just want to let you know it is out. So this is, quite a few days later. 5 days later. Okay, so this is November 17th, 2025. I think she's referencing, yep, this is what she's referencing. On November 17th, 2025, a man identifying himself as Martin Donahue, claimed to be the uncle of Anna Kepner, posted that public statement on X. You know, that statement that he was like telling people, I can't believe these parents are trying to hide it. You know, it was Anna's stepbrother who did this to her. And not everything he said necessarily was correct in that tweet. We still don't know what's correct and what's not. But that was the first time we kind of saw, oh, wait a minute, Anna was found and it might have happened at the hands of her stepbrother. This is what she's referencing. So it's November 17th, 2025. It's 3:25 p.m. So Shauntel says, I just want to let you know it is out. Some a-hole posted something. She's acting like she didn't know who this guy is. Thomas says, what? And which one? Like, what are you talking about? She sends him a screenshot. I think it is Donahue's tweet. And then Thomas goes, his family. So he's referencing Chris Kepner's family. Like, look, Shauntel, that's your husband's family put this out. Okay, Shauntel says, not Chris's family, basically. It's the ex-wife's family. Thomas says, well, part of his kids. I've seen it on a few things. So they're reacting to this tweet by Donahue, basically pointing the finger at their 16-year-old son. So now Thomas writes, are you busy? Shauntel says, yeah, we just left the church and have a bunch of family here. Thomas says, well, we need to have a short, serious talk over the phone. Or this, you need to call me. And then he sends a screenshot, and I can tell it's likely from that, it has the weird print, the weird font he must use on his phone. Yeah, but it's from that Channel Now or whatever that published the 16-year-old's photo. So Thomas says, I'll be at the racetrack at 6 p.m. tomorrow. I think it's the gas station. Please let me know. Now this is by November 21st, this text message. I'll be at the racetrack at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Please let me know that you will be there with our daughter and any meds she needs for the weekend. Don't worry about clothes, I'll get her some. So he's still trying. She sends something, it's really hard to tell. It's some kind of screenshot, sent something, I don't know what that is. Thomas, at first he liked the photo, then he removed the like and he said, can't see it. She wrote, per safety of everyone, I think it is in the best interest to meet at the Oakland Police Department. This is in Oakland, Florida. Go to the fire department, she wrote. Anna's celebration of life took place on Thursday, November 20th. So I'm not exactly sure what she was sending him that next day on November 21st. So that's kind of where the text messages end, and they give us a view, and if you want to just download and read this, it's a whole bunch of, this is what Thomas Hudson's lawyer alluded to or just spoke outright on Friday in court. Spoke about all the times Thomas allegedly tried to, get Shauntel to hold up her end of the bargain and, just even talk to his kids. There's a whole bunch of emails, them back and forth, and therapists, and this is not an accurate reflection of how mediation went. Shauntel is texting, or maybe she's emailing Thomas back in April. So many messages. Insurance, they talk about the 16-year-old. So Shauntel did text Thomas saying, I want to let you know, this was April 25th, before, anything happened. I want to let you know that the 16-year-old is receiving an award from the Titusville City Council on April 28th. I wonder what kind of award it is, and isn't that ironic? Oh my goodness. A bunch of back and forth if you want to go through all this thread about, speaking to the kids and what's it for? I don't know. He'll find out when he gets it. And now here it is. Shauntel is telling Thomas, the 16-year-old has shared that he would prefer you not attend. I'll be sure to let you know what award he receives afterward. At this point, I can't figure out if it's truly some mom trying to protect her children. If it is, I applaud her for trying to protect her children, from if their dad is truly dangerous, and if the children are really saying, no, we don't want to talk to dad. I don't want him there. A 16-year-old is old enough to know what they want. But at the same token, I don't want these children to have been unduly influenced by either parent. You know how parents can play games like, I hope it's not one of those deals like, behind the scenes working them like, your dad's so mean. What did he say to you? What did he do to you? Well, you don't have to see him again. I'll just tell him for you. You don't, But Shauntel's claiming she's not like that. She claims she tries to encourage the kids to see their dad. Okay, she sends him a video and photo of the 16-year-old's award. Thomas is like, please tell him I'm proud of him. Is it possible to meet to see each other for a little bit, even half an hour for the kids to meet like we did before at the park? He's saying Andrew wants to see them. But, his brother, the 16-year-old, isn't answering any of his texts. Does he have the same number? Shauntel is claiming the 16-year-old's phone number has not changed, nor has Andrew tried contacting him since March. So someone's lying in this case. So I don't know. And, the dad is like, how about the kids all meet up? Andrew wants to see them. Okay, so now she's saying, okay, the little girl and the 16-year-old have said they're only comfortable seeing only Andrew. If Andrew wants to meet with them, he can reach out to me to make arrangements. Thomas is trying to say, that's fine, I'll stay in the car like previously agreed, let me know. Shauntel saying Andrew, who by then he wasn't 18 yet, he's able to make his own decision regarding whether he wishes to meet with his siblings. It's a whole bunch of stuff, but she's claiming the 16-year-old and the little girls say they don't want, their dad present at all. So, what a mess. It's just, Thomas is saying, I pray for a resolution. I pray they feel safe. In court, I'll let you hear it coming up. Shauntel's lawyer was saying, oh, Thomas was screaming at the kids, bring your ass out here. And I'm like, okay, if he was doing that, that's not right. I don't know. In these emails, I don't know, like when Thomas takes the stand, you'll see coming up, he's so quiet. Even his own lawyer told him to speak up. And I'm like, is that just an act? Is he trying to be like Mr. Nice Guy? Or is Shauntel really controlling, trying to keep the kids from him? I mean, I don't like that whole deal about what Andrew said they did to him. Shauntel coming to grab him. You'll see from school, he didn't even know where he was going. Like, why not let the boy, Andrew, why not let him finish out his senior year? If it's your senior year in high school, he wants to stay with his friends, he wants to stay with his dad, he's claiming his dad doesn't mistreat him. To me, why not let your 18-year-old stay there? Do you have to grab the 18-year-old, force him, take his phone, turn off his phone, have Chris Kepner hold him against the seat, and he thinks he blacked out a couple of times? I was like, what? What is happening? It's something wonky going on here. I'm not saying any one side is perfect. It feels like a whole lot of wrong going on here. Just to get through some more of these emails, and just like the lawyer said, I'm not going to read them all, but I see he was just trying to give a perspective on what, they've been going back and forth about. But there's more stuff, so I want to get closer to November for these emails. Oh, vacation plans. Here we go. I missed this. Page 66. This is where she did, I guess, ask her ex-husband for permission. Now, notably, it is May 6th, 2025 at 5:40 p.m. And it even shows when Thomas Hudson first viewed the email, 8 minutes after she sent it. This is very important about getting his permission and what date she sent it, because there's some kind of 60-day rule, 60-day advance notice she would have had to give him. She would have had to give him 60 days advance notice about her vacation plans. So Shauntel writes, subject, vacation plans. Good afternoon. I wanted to give you a heads up that we have a family trip planned from November 2nd to November 8th. We'll be going on a cruise that departs from Miami and stops in Jamaica, Grand Cayman, Cozumel before returning to Miami. Oh, if only she knew. In order to move forward with the necessary travel documents, could you please send me your current mailing address? She's asking Thomas. So I can send you the passport forms that need to be signed, and I will include a prepaid envelope for returning them. Thanks in advance, Shauntel. So Thomas says, my mailing address is still the same. And this is later in court in one hearing, was it the first hearing or whatever we watched, where Shauntel had claimed, Thomas didn't end up sending me the stuff I needed to take the kids on a cruise, but she was able to, go anyway without their passports. So they're talking about doctor's appointments, talking about the kids' diets and all this stuff. Yeah, there's a lot going on here, so I won't say it all. Andrew got awards. Shauntel is following up on May 29th for checking on the status of the kids' passport forms. Confirm whether they've been completed. Let me know the date they were mailed out. She's given him the kids, most recent report cards. Thomas says to Shauntel about these vacation plans, I'm not sure if I'm willing to sign the forms. Wow. I'm not okay with my kids going out of the country. This makes me want to cry, because if only that 16-year-old had not gone out of the country, Anna would likely still be alive. Until we can find common ground and something is set, I'm not okay with them leaving the state. Being that I have not talked to or seen my kids in so long, I will talk with the attorney and see what can be done. Maybe we can agree on something that benefits the kids having both parents in their life. This is June 3rd. I don't blame him in terms of, if they had been getting along, if everything had been, hunky-dory, everything's fine, I get the kids when I want them, you get the kids when I want, there's no accusations of mistreatment anywhere. Now Shauntel would want to take the kids on a cruise and everything's okay, then yeah, you would feel more comfortable. But they've been going back and forth like he can't even see his kids at a park. And true, if that's the kids' choice, if they haven't been unduly influenced negatively against their father, and as long as they're safe, Shauntel should have let Thomas see the kids. I mean, not if he's yelling at them or abusive or anything. Then he says, hoped I could see them for Father's Day and see if I could get them for my allotted time for the summer. And just going back and forth about the kids. When can I get them for my time over the summer? Where is a good place to meet for Father's Day? Okay, so Shauntel is saying, look, as previously communicated both before and during mediation and in line with the children's express wishes, they would like to engage in therapy with you before any direct communication takes place. So if you have any further questions or concerns, please contact my lawyer, Shauntel wrote. There's a lot of back and forth. Okay, here we go. Shauntel is writing about the 16-year-old. She's writing to her ex and saying the 16-year-old informed me that Andrew texted him claiming I am refusing to allow you and Andrew to participate in therapy with the children. So Andrew thinks his mother is refusing to allow her ex and Andrew to participate in therapy with the children. For the record, that is completely inaccurate. I have consistently supported and encouraged therapeutic involvement between you and the kids. So Shauntel is like, I keep trying to get you guys to go to therapy. There's just, I don't know, lies going on here. Someone's lying. Someone's just twisting the truth. How could it be this difficult? I mean, I get it. It's your ex. There's hurt feelings. Shauntel is with someone new by now. Her and Thomas had been, I think they had been married for quite a while, but it says in this new court hearing coming up, it says Shauntel began dating Chris in October of 2023. Her lawyer is going to say they already had problems with the kids before then. The kids were already going to therapy December 2023 because Thomas's lawyer was making it sound like everything was perfect until this one incident happened where they, snatched Andrew away. Anyway, Shauntel is trying to say, look, I've been trying to get you in therapy with the kids, and you disregarded the children's clearly expressed boundaries by approaching and cornering them, even after they asked not to see you. This behavior is not appropriate and does not support their emotional well-being. Yeah, and don't talk about our legal matters with the children. Thomas is saying, he said, I offered to use the kids' same therapist to do therapy. If I have to get the mediation court notes ordered, I will. As far as not discussing it with the kids, when my son tells me that my other son told him that you are lying to them, then yes, I will tell the truth. So they're just going back and forth. It's a big old mess. Aw, it says Andrew just gave the little girl flowers. She said she loved and missed him as she gave him a hug. You were not cornered. Hopefully we go to court soon so everything will come to light. Yeah, I hope the truth can come out. How can things be like so different between people? And Andrew did testify on Friday when he got to see his little sister. She seemed really happy. So they're talking about the 16-year-old again. Shauntel is talking about Andrew talking about mediation to the 16-year-old. She's claiming she's been the one pushing for therapy. She asked for over a year. So she's saying at no point did I say I wasn't okay with them seeing their former therapist. What I said was that she doesn't take our insurance and charges $125 per session. With 4 sessions a month per child, that adds up, and you weren't willing to split that cost with me. So there's more details. We're talking about money and bills and don't use the kids to pass along messages, Shauntel is telling him. Thomas is asking, do the kids not have their phone? Shauntel, this is July now. The 16-year-old always has his phone. Thomas is asking Shauntel in July, if possible, I'd like to talk to our daughter, because I'm sure he's not been telling her or showing her the messages. So it's like the 16-year-old shares a phone with the little girl, but they're saying the 16-year-old, Thomas thinks the 16-year-old isn't showing his sister the messages her dad has been, sending. Oh my goodness. Especially since I seen how he and you acted at the recital with the flowers, taking them and breaking them apart while you were walking out. I'd like a way to directly contact her. Now this is getting ridiculous. If Thomas brought his little daughter some flowers at the recital, and then Shauntel and the him is Chris Kepner, I think, or if he's talking about a son or something. And then Shauntel takes the flowers that the dad bought the little girl and she starts breaking them apart. I mean, this is just so petty. There's a lot of juvenile stuff going on. Shauntel is like, look, if the little girl ever wants to talk to you, she can use the 16-year-old's phone or mine. That's also the best way to reach her. She hasn't asked to talk to you, and I check in with her regularly, at least once to twice a week, and encourage both kids to stay in contact. I'm not going to force them, but I always give them the opportunity. Is that true? I don't know. She's saying, I'm not sure what you're referring to about the little girl's flowers being broken. They were placed in a vase as soon as we got home. I don't appreciate the implication that we damaged them because that's simply not true. And he's coming back saying, I watched it happen with the flowers. It will be shown, but that's beside the point. You can at least relay the messages. Was she just breaking off the stems? You know how you have to cut flowers and, put them underwater when you get them, they'll keep them fresher. Was she breaking them that way? Or like, what the heck? Oh my goodness. She's saying they were never broken. Interpret it how you want. Like, how could there be so much polar opposite of what happened? Anyway, it's a lot of going back and forth about, can I talk to my kids? Here's the boy, the 16-year-old's soccer schedule. So Thomas is saying by September, oh, it's good to hear. I've been having issues with this app. Oh, it must be the parenting app they're going through. Do you still have the same email? I've emailed a few times with no response. They want addresses and everything. Thomas is saying, please tell them I love them and miss them. I'd love to chat with them. I've messaged with no response. Shauntel says, the 16-year-old says he has received your messages, but I did relay it again. So she keeps kind of saying, look, okay, X, the kids have gotten your messages and I'm encouraging them to talk to you, but they don't want to talk to you. At least you gave him the soccer schedule and where it's supposed to be. He hasn't heard anything about his daughter's schedules for dances. We're getting into October now. I want to get closer to November. Report cards. Thomas is asking Shauntel, what can we do with this 16-year-old? I'm glad his grades are passing, but attendance and no respect. Have you talked with him? Oh, so the 16-year-old must have been showing his teachers no respect. But then Shauntel writes back, according to his teachers, there have been no concerns about respect or behavior. So where did the no respect come from? His grades are good and most are close to B's. I haven't received any reports indicating an issue. These two, oh my goodness. Like, what the heck? Okay, Thomas says in his report card, it says it in the notes along with his attendance and a number of other things. That's why I asked. Okay, Thomas says, sorry, I misread the numbers. I mean with homework and stuff. Shauntel writes back on October 16th, please reread the report card. Notes that he is very respectful and there's nothing negative stated about his attendance. Okay. Shauntel says, I've already discussed with him the importance of keeping up with his homework. And so Thomas is asking if the boy has a game. So there's just like bad blood, bad air between these two. Like they're expecting the worst of each other, it seems. Shauntel is talking about the 16-year-old's games getting canceled, and he's trying to track, I guess, the 16-year-old's games. So, and she's just trying to say, look, if there's a change or a rain delay, look, just tell me in advance what games you plan to go to. That way, if a game is canceled or it changes, I can update you. No clue. They're trying to track each other down. Okay, where's the 16-year-old games going to be? Games. It's October. Here we go, finally. So they're through the parenting app, October 26, 2025. They're talking about the 16-year-old soccer game. Such innocuous stuff. October 26th. Next message. So some of those, I guess we were missing because some they were texting through, regular SMS, iMessage or whatever text. And this looks like it's through the parenting app. So they had spoken since January. They just do it through this parenting app. And right now I'm on message 97 of 165. So here we go. The emergency message came again. Message 98. It was November 8th, 7:34 p.m. Emergency is the subject. I need you to call me ASAP. It's an emergency. Wow. So that was it. And she sends another one. Well, they're just replying to that same one. Thomas is asking Shauntel November 11th. So again, that's that Tuesday. Can you please send me a copy of all our 16-year-old's prescriptions so I can have them? Maybe Thomas thought, oh, my son gets out of this hospital, whatever, tomorrow. I need to know his meds. Shauntel says he also takes allergy meds, singular, and she sends some kind of photos of, I guess, of his medicines. Thomas says thanks. And so they go over that agreement again. I want to make sure. And then again, November 13th, can I please talk to our little girl? Shauntel says, I spoke with our little girl. At this time, she doesn't want to talk. I let her know that you care about her and that you love her. Thomas says, I want to hear it from her with everything going on. Shaun, he calls her Shaun instead of Shauntel. I need to hear her. Shauntel says, I understand where you're coming from, but I cannot force her to talk to you. And the 14th, November 14th, Thomas writes to Shauntel, since our 16-year-old is no longer residing with you, are you willing to use his part of child support to go towards attorney's fees? Or at least send it to the 16-year-old since it's his money for his care? So this is where Shauntel is saying, look, direct any questions or concerns to my attorney. Arrangements regarding support for our 16-year-old are being handled and the family member will receive the funds designated for his care. So, Thomas again, November 17th, how's our little girl doing with everything? Can I please talk to her? The 18th, how is she doing? Can I please talk to her? The 18th again, he says, I need to at least know that you're alive and is our little girl okay? Can I talk to her? So this is from Shauntel the same day to Thomas. It's kind of messed up so I can't even see. But it says something like, I spoke with the little girl again. At this time, she doesn't want to talk. I let her know that you care about her and that you love her. And then something Thomas says, that's great. Your attorney couldn't have worded things differently. It's some kind of Facebook screenshot. Or you changed it to leave the 16-year-old's part out. So I got to see what he's referencing, like maybe Anna's obituary, or I don't know what he's talking about. On November 20th, parenting time. I'll be at the racetrack at 6 p.m. tomorrow. Please let me know that you will be there with our little girl and any meds she needs for the weekend. Don't worry about clothes. I'll get her some. The next day, 21st, he's like just touching base to make sure you're going to be there. He's talking to Shauntel. That's when Shauntel sends him that, per safety of everyone, I think it's best in the interest to meet at the Oakland Police Department. Okay, so that's what she's talking about. That's smart. Sometimes it is safe to do exchanges at the police department, because I don't even know, I think this one went way left too. Okay, Thomas says, okay, I'll be there. I'll call when I'm close to see where you are. Okay, so Thomas says, per our parenting time, I want it known that you did not allow our little girl to go on my weekend. Yes, I understand she's going through a lot, but it is my time. That being said, I deal with you, the parent, not your spouse. So he's saying, look, I'm dealing with you, not Chris Kepner, Anna's biological father, Shauntel's husband. Okay, so this is what they talked about in court too. So Shauntel is claiming, look, our little girl refused to get out of the car. I did not withhold her from your parenting time. The decision was made based on her emotional state. Thomas wrote back, no, the decision was made by your spouse closing the door and saying to get away. Yes, she said she didn't want to, but she is going through a lot, and I asked for your help to make it easier. Again, you're the mother. I deal with you. Your spouse has no rights. That being said, I will request that he not be present next meet since he is not capable of allowing the parents to handle the exchange. Oh, horrible. Shauntel writes back, I'm sorry, she didn't want to go with you. And I know I had encouraged her to. I don't believe her reluctance has anything to do with Chris being there. She's simply been through so much lately with Anna's passing and the 16-year-old being gone. The funeral was just last night, and this is an incredibly difficult time for her. She will be doing counseling through DCF to help her cope with her grief, and I'm hopeful she'll reach a place where she feels ready to spend time with you. I will continue to encourage her to go. So this is why Thomas is in court. He's writing back, I understand, but there is still a parenting plan in place. I am her father, as you yourself said about, our 16-year-old. We are the parents and we need to help our kids. I kept my mouth shut when you told me that you can't jeopardize your marriage for helping Whew, the 16-year-old, your son. Whoa, that's the first time I'm reading this because I kind of just skimmed through this stuff. Whoa, jeopardizing her marriage. That gave me kind of chills. You look scared tonight, and you need to know that my kids come before anyone, even though I haven't been able to see them for almost 2 years. I'll never hesitate. This is too much drama. Wow, this is something else. Okay, Shauntel's ex, Thomas, is saying, look, I kept my mouth shut when you told me, Shauntel, that you can't jeopardize your marriage to Chris for helping the 16-year-old, your son. So, wow. Shauntel doesn't want to jeopardize. She's saying she can't jeopardize her marriage to Chris, because his daughter is now gone at the hands of this 16-year-old that Shauntel is helping. He said, you look scared tonight, and you need to know that my kids come before anyone, even though I haven't been able to see them for almost 2 years. I'll never hesitate. See you in 2 weeks for the next meet for the little girl. I hope things are more civil. You, the mother, can speak for yourself, and your attorney explains to you how things are going to eventually go. I hope I can speak to our daughter soon. Now, to me, this is sad. Okay, they haven't seen their dad, according to him, in almost 2 years. If he truly is mistreating these children, I wish the court could just give them supervised visits only, like with someone there to protect them or here. I don't know if Shauntel just wanted to go off with Chris Kepner and start her new life and live in that house and be away from Thomas and kind of be like, I've got the kids in my new life and you can't see them. Is that what is happening? Or, is she truly protecting them from a dangerous situation? Is she truly encouraging the kids to, go see your dad, but they don't want to because they have a bad feeling? And then Andrew is like, no, he's fine. It's like, what is happening? Again, the 25th of November, how's the girl? Can I please talk to her? And Shauntel's still like, she's processing a lot right now. I'm keeping things calm for her. We will be working with her counselor to support her. I've given her your message and will continue to encourage her to talk to you. I don't know. He's writing back. I can't see what that says. And then on the 26th, Shauntel is saying, hey, since the order doesn't list a specific time for you to pick up and drop off, I just want to check and see what time works best for the exchange. They're doing, I think, the Thanksgiving drop-off. And then Thomas says, okay, please understand that when I get there, I understand she might not want to come, but I need your help with that. That means actually having her go with me this time. Do I have your word on that? Please let me know as soon as possible. I can plan accordingly. Shauntel keeps saying, I keep trying to support you. I keep trying to encourage her to go. I've tried each time before. I'll keep trying. Okay, and Thomas is saying, per the parenting plan, the choice is not up to her, and that you're going to help me make it as easy as possible for her to go with me. I just need your help and word that we will make it happen. And Shauntel just keeps saying, I keep trying to encourage her to go. I'll keep trying. So then they're meeting at the police station, trying to do an exchange. Thanksgiving is listed without extended time, Shauntel is saying. All other holidays include additional days. Thanksgiving applies to that holiday only. So Thomas is saying, oh, so you're denying me access once again to our little girl, even though we just agreed to tonight? This is what you're forcing me to do? Our parenting plan specifies Thanksgiving, only I'll be there. He's trying to be there at 12:01 a.m. at the Cracker Barrel, as specified in the agreement. I will then drop her off at 11:59 p.m. at the same location. I was trying to make it easier for everyone. Please confirm. So Shauntel's saying, I'm not denying you access. The parenting plan states Thanksgiving, which applies to Thanksgiving Day. I'm following what's written. 12:01 a.m. and 11:59 p.m. isn't a reasonable exchange time. I mean, that's true. But she's saying I can do a pickup around 7, 8 a.m. and a drop-off around 8 or 9 p.m. Let me know what time works for you, especially since it's a young girl. I get it. Thomas is saying something I can't read. And then they finally says, Shauntel says, that works. I'll meet you at Cracker Barrel at 7:30 a.m. I'll see you there at 8:30 p.m. for the return. Now, is this going to work? And they're getting the Cracker Barrel location in Titusville. And this is what tripped me out here. Okay, Thomas, he says to Shauntel on the 27th at 10:50 a.m., are you okay with our little girl seeing the 16-year-old for a little bit today? This might be the last time they get to see each other for a long time. It won't be long, just for a little bit. I'm like, whoa. Shauntel's like, that's something that has to be discussed with DCF. So at this time, I'm going to go with no. I don't blame her there. I mean, this boy is responsible or alleged to have done something really horrible to Anna. And now the dad is like, okay, can he be around his little 9-year-old sister? She might be 10, 9. Okay, Thomas is like, why with DCF? We are the parents. He's like, I just really wanted to have them all together. It might be a last chance for a long time. Shauntel says, I understand your point, but DCF is involved. I'm not comfortable with it at that time. I agree with Shauntel here. Thomas says, okay, it's important to me that they get to spend time together. DCF isn't an excuse for me as the parent, but you're the mom. I have to respect the decision. But that being said, can I please have the DCF person contact that is talking to the little girl? Okay, Shauntel's saying, as for the DCF worker, I can't give out their contact info without their permission, but you can reach out directly to DCF and they can connect you with the person assigned to our little girl. Thomas says he's honoring the agreement. He's going against his judgment. He'll talk to DCF. They probably won't answer today. So Shauntel was letting him know at 8 p.m. Thanksgiving Day, I'm here a little early at Cracker Barrel, just letting you know. So he finally got some parenting time. Thomas is saying, you know, the family member that the 16-year-old is staying with called last night and spoke with you about our little girl and needing therapy with me. I'm fine with that, and I can get with my DCF contact. As long as you're willing, you know, it can be over here. Shauntel says, look, on November 29th, I've been requesting counseling for you and the children for the past year and a half, so I'm glad you're open to it now. The location needs to be reasonable. She's not missing school and all that. Thomas is shooting back with, as stated a few times in mediation, I said I was fine using the same therapist the kids were already familiar with, but you refused as soon as I agreed to it. So, you know, they're going back and forth over money and blah, blah, blah. And also, you have still yet to give the person taking care of the 16-year-old money for the 16-year-old's child support, and he's been in his care for 3 weeks at least. I will need proof provided that you have sent payment for my records. I can take our little girl and take care of everything until you get your home situation back on track. What's wrong with her home situation? Finding a place, a job, and the whole media circus away. I don't know what's wrong with her home situation. Maybe they have to live somewhere else. I don't even see what's going on with Shauntel's home situation. Part of it is gone. This is December 1st. Shauntel sends back, I want to clarify the therapy situation so we're on the same page. In mediation, I agreed to use a certain person and she was booked and blah, blah, blah. My work and home situation are stable. And like you, I also can't keep taking time off. Need a plan that doesn't cause our little girl to miss school. And I'm working it out with my family member. He and I are handling it directly. We only have a couple more pages. Thomas writes back, he's asking for proof that the child support is going there. And can you have our daughter call me around 4 so I can talk to her? And Shauntel writes back, I took some time off as any grieving parent would, and I've since returned to work. My employment is not relevant to this discussion. And she's saying, look, my arrangement with his family members between me and him, you do not direct how child support is used. I still have ongoing expenses for the 16-year-old, including his insurance and medical bills, unless you're going to help with those. If so, I can send over the bills. And I think we're almost at the end. Thomas is like, as per the parenting agreement, your work is actually. And if she's returning to school, please let me know what school. And third time asking for proof about this child support, you know, going to the guy taking care of their 16-year-old. And Thomas says, I spoke with our girl's DCF contact. She said she never said or stated that the little girl should not see the 16-year-old. You're the one that has the say and decision with that. Well, I don't blame them. I really don't blame Shauntel for not letting the little girl see her brother because of what he allegedly did to Anna. Thomas says, all kids have stated to me that they want to see each other. I believe it's good for them to do so. That being said, I believe that I keep it out of the public and not in the location of where the 16-year-old lives. So again, try and get all three to see each other, tell the little girl, I love her. Thomas is saying, yep, this is the last message. December 4th, Thomas is saying, after some calculations, our 16-year-old's portion of child support is $190 a week. Please provide proof of transfer to the family member when you can do so. It's been 4 weeks since the 16-year-old has been in custody. So that was how many weeks ago? That was 2 weeks ago. So he's been in custody 6 weeks. Also following up on my previous message about the kids seeing each other over this weekend. And, you know, I'm going over to Titusville for court. Just let me see my daughter. Oh, what a mess. What a horrific mess. So I think that's pretty much it. I'll let you read all the rest. If I have enough space, I will put the rest of the court hearing. If not, you can see it on Law and Crime. I bumped up the audio, so maybe I'll leave it in if I can. But you will see them again going through back and forth. And you'll see Andrew's testimony. I really want you to see that if you haven't. And Thomas speaking so low. Now, it ended. It was only supposed to be an hour. So Thomas's lawyer finished, and the judge said, we will pick up with the cross-examination from Mom's lawyer, Mom's counsel, at the next hearing. I can't find the next hearing. I can't find that date yet. Maybe I can find it. Anyway, for now, let's close with Psalm 104, 34 through 35. May my meditation be pleasing to him as I rejoice in the Lord. But may sinners vanish from the earth and the wicked be no more. Praise the Lord, my soul. Praise the Lord. In Hebrew, I guess it's hallelujah and then Yah. Hallelujah. I had never seen it spelled that way. If I have enough space, hopefully, maybe I will, I'll put the rest of the court hearing at the end. Hearing is horrible, but then you can see the comments people made and stuff while I was watching it via the live stream. And if I can find it, I will look for the next court date to see when these people will be in court again. I feel so bad for everyone involved. No one comes off looking that great. And the way Shauntel and Chris allegedly grabbed Andrew and held him just to take him with them away from his dad. Now, I don't know if Andrew's speaking under duress and if he too has been coached and if you don't know what's going on. But I just feel so bad for all these children, just how horrible the whole thing is, and the fact that Anna had to deal with any of this and lost her life because of it. Thank you so much for watching all of this. Stay tuned. I really plan to follow up with this case, see if Anna gets her justice, see if this boy is arrested ever. And I was like, wow, he's driving that little SUV or UTV, they call it, in Florida. I hope he has a driver's license, He's supposed to have one. Anyway, that's it for now. Thank you for watching. Take care, stay tuned. Updates on this case and many, many others.
No, I just want to make sure you know
Okay.
highly established.
We took away one of
This is the best I can do. This is something for like stupid
Are you ready to proceed? No, are you ready to proceed?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you. We're on the record 05-2024 DR 52505. This is the matter of Thomas Hudson and Shauntel Hudson. We have scheduled for today and the petitioner's emergency motion for contempt and enforcement was filed on behalf of Mr. Hudson. I noticed that we have a notice of appearance for today. Sir, if you please announce your presence for the record.
Yes, Your Honor. My name is Pete Malinelli. I'm here on behalf of the petitioner, Mr. Hudson. Scott Smith, or his associate, Adam Holbrook, is here as well. He just stepped outside for a moment. He'll be here as well, but I'll be present anyway.
Okay, thank you. Ma'am?
Actually, my name is Linnea Anderson, and I represent the respondent, Shauntel.
Thank you. Okay, and Mr. Molinelli, how do you wish to proceed, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. I can make some brief opening remarks and then proceed from there.
Sir?
Please record. Your Honor, we are here on behalf of Thomas Hudson to seek a motion to contempt and enforcement of a parenting plan that was agreed to back in April of 2024. But to understand the circumstances and the basis for the motion to contempt, we actually have to go back a little bit before that. Your Honor, Mr. Hudson was married to Mrs. Kepner now for almost 15 years. They got divorced in 2022. There was a parenting place that was put in place from 2022 all the way through. In January of 2024, that is when Mrs. Hudson, Mrs. Kepner, the respondent in this case, started being involved in a relationship with Christopher Kepner. At that time, the respondent and the petitioner were living in Hernando County, Florida. From the time of the divorce and the agreed parenting plan for 2022 to 2024, Mr. Hudson received regular and normal visitation with 3 children, AH, TH, and BH. With no issues whatsoever, no problems with the parenting plan, no issues with visitation whatsoever, no therapy, nothing at all. Things started to change in January of 2024, and that's where the operative is. That's when the respondent started pursuing a relationship with Christopher Kepner. During that time, they were just simply girlfriend and boyfriend. As I said, they were both residing in Hernando County. A couple months into that relationship, the respondent went ahead and asked Mr. Hudson if she could move to Titusville. Obviously, Titusville being in Brevard County was not in accordance with the parenting plan and did require an amendment. Mr. Hudson was reluctant to give this agreement. However, the respondent assured Mr. Hudson that the reason why she wanted to move to Titusville, Brevard County, was to pursue a better financial opportunity for herself, as well as to pursue improved schooling for the children. Reluctantly, the petition in this case agreed. An agreed parenting plan was made. It was filed as an exhibit to our trial exhibit list, which we'll obviously talk about during the testimony in this case. In that agreed parenting plan, it specifically stated that the parenting plan was to be reviewed on June 1st every year going forward to determine A, if the respondent had in fact procured better financial opportunities, and B, the progress of the children. As we move fast forward, you'll see why that becomes relevant. Several months into 2024, there came a time when it was agreed, it was signed, that the respondent was going to take the two minor children at the time, in this case TH and BH, with her to Titusville. There was a child, AH, who you'll hear from today, who was 17 years old and at the time was a junior in high school in Anna Kepner. Because of that, it was agreed upon between both the petitioner and the respondent that AH would stay with the petitioner until he finished his junior year in high school, after which time they would possibly seek relocation of AH as well to Brevard County. Here's where things kind of get interesting. So somewhere in early of 2024, the respondent in this case did in fact move to Titusville with Christopher Kepner, her still boyfriend at the time. Mind you, this relationship has only been a couple of months strong, but regardless, she made the decision and her two children did fail. What's important to note is that during that time, between early April of 2024 and April 22nd, 2024, this is going to become a very important date in this whole matter, Thomas, the petitioner in this case, did in fact ask for and did receive visitation with his children overnight, even though at that point the respondent was already residing in Titusville. In other words, they made arrangements, they had this agreed parenting plan, there was a pickup, there was an overnight visit. I would like to mention that there's absolutely no evidence that there has been any issue with any visitation of the children wanting or not wanting to go before April 22nd of 2024. There's just simply no record of evidence. It wasn't until the date of April 22nd, 2024 that things began to change. On April 22nd, 2024, and the court is going to hear testimony to this effect, at that point, the AH was at high school in her native town. Unbeknownst to the petitioner, received no prior notification, no prior notice. On that particular day, the respondent and her then boyfriend, Christopher Kepner, drove to the high school and then picked Andrew AH up against his will. Andrew had told the respondent several days before that he no longer wanted to go with her to Brevard County. His high school was here, all his friends were here, this is where he wanted to stay. At that point, the respondent did not like that particular answer, so she took it upon herself, again, never communicating with the petitioner in this case, drove to the high school and forcibly removed AH from the high school, putting him in Christopher Kepner's vehicle. At that time, the only way that the petitioner was even informed that this was going on was because the school called the petitioner to let him know what was happening. Interestingly enough, when they took AH and they put him in the vehicle, they took AH's phone, and that being the respondent, as well as Christopher Kepner, shut off all location so he could not be tracked by the petitioner in this case. Things get even more interesting. They go ahead during that visit. There's a struggle in the vehicle, in which case AH, and you're going to hear testimony from AH today about all this, was in the vehicle, and he wanted to get out. He did not want to go with the respondent to Titusville. They physically restrained him, and he was assaulted both by the respondent and by Christopher Kepner. There are pictures and photographs that we have introduced and put in an exhibit that we will again introduce through AH in this case that evidences the restraint that happened. AH will testify about the restraint that happened by Mr. Kepner and by Shauntel. Basically, they held him in the back of the seat. Christopher Kepner reached back, and his head pinned against the back of the armrest, or one of the headrests, and there's photographs to show that damage. They eventually made their way to Titusville, to Brevard County, at which point the petitioner in this case went and drove to the respondent's address. They went there, authorities were called, DCF was called. Obviously, this created quite a bit of a stir for everyone involved. Ultimately, it was determined, because AH had said so, AH being 17 years old at the time, told law enforcement authorities, as well as DCF, that he did not want to go with the respondent, that he wanted to go back home with the petitioner in this case. And that's what happened. And the petitioner has AH has resided with the petitioner since April 22nd of 2024. He's have not since returned to see the respondent. As we fast forward a little bit, it's going to be our position, Your Honor, that event that the respondent in this case is characterized as a kidnapping, which is actually the actual opposite of what happened. It was the respondent and Christopher Kepner that went ahead and took Andrew AH against his will. The the respondent in this case, and this is what is the basis for the motion for contempt, used that kidnapping as a way to set up the systematic and alienation of both TH and BH for over a year and a half. The petitioner in this case, except for 2 weeks ago, has not had any overnight visitation with his children, BH or TH, since that incident happened. After the incident on April 22nd, the respondent then went ahead and took both BH and TH to a therapist up before April 22nd. Never any issue with the visitation, never any allegations, there's none of that. It's not until this April 22nd incident where the respondent was denied access to AH because of AH choosing to be with the father, this whole thing set this chain of events in play. So the respondent goes ahead and takes TH and BH to therapy in early May. The respondent in this case actually tells the therapist that the children are afraid of being kidnapped by their father and not being returned home. Also in those notes, which we have a copy, they're redacted, obviously some of them are a little sensitive, but there are in those notes references in which the respondent's case alleged that the petitioner in this case engaged in physical abuse, verbal abuse, both for all 3 children and against her, both during the marriage and after. There's simply no evidence of that whatsoever, Your Honor. That was simply made up by the respondent in this case to again start this chain of events to alienate both TH and BH against their father, the petitioner in this case, Shauntel Hudson. From there, Your Honor, there's a course of therapy that takes place, and we have a chain of, it's a bit of a slop, I'm afraid to say, emails and text messages that go back and forth regarding the whole visitation issue. There's some critical emails that are centered around April and June of 2024. April 24th, 2024, in this particular case, the petitioner in this case specifically asked the respondent when he was going to get his visitation pursuant to the agreed parenting plan that was signed in April of 2024. In which case, the respondent never responded to that. He followed up 2 days later on April 26th about his visitation, both with TH and with BH. And at that point, on June 5th, the respondent actually wrote in an email saying that he was not going to get visitation at all because of what the children were saying and how now they're afraid of him and they don't want to go with him, and kind of set this whole course of events. I have the emails to establish that. From that time forward, Your Honor, up until literally 2 weeks ago, he has had no visitation with his children, strictly against the parenting plan that was entered into on April of 2024. Interestingly enough, in the email traffic and the notes, the therapy notes, somewhere around August of 2024, there's also another note from BH where she's indicating, she's not afraid of her father, but that she wants these very specific parameters. Quite frankly, this disingenuous coming from an 8-year-old about how she would be welcome to visitation as long as it's in Brevard County in a public space, with the stepfather, something to that effect. Which obviously shows, in our mind, a certain degree of manipulation that's going on here in this concerted effort to keep Thomas Hudson from the children. I will also tell you that during that Titusville incident, there's going to be testimony to this effect that Mr. Kepner informed when they were at Titusville that he was not going to get to see his children again absent the court order. That was relayed to him at the Titusville when the police arrived and when DCF was there as well. So we have this path now where the respondent is with her boyfriend. She's obviously upset about what happened with Anna Hudson. There was an injunction that was filed, just so the court knows, in Hernando County regarding this injunction. There was some findings there. I will tell the court that those findings are obviously, it's a different type of hearing than we are today. It's a different evidentiary basis for that. In that case, they declined to pursue any type of charges against Christopher Kepner. I will tell you, and this will probably come out either through the cross of Christopher Kepner or otherwise, obviously Mr. Kepner denies having any type of assault. So in essence, the court just said, well, that he said, she said, I don't find enough here, and that's why it happened with the injunction. We're not offering that purposes for establishing proven assault by Mr. Kepner, although we do think that's what happened. What we're offering is this intent element. And as the court is well aware, when you're dealing with issues of custody and time sharing, and you file a motion of contempt, quite often there's an argument that one parent says the child didn't want to go, right? And we all know, the case law is very clear on this, that is not enough. Obviously, the custodial parent has the obligation to try to do the best they can to encourage and allow that visitation to take place. and you can't just simply say, okay, well, the child didn't want to go, so you don't want to go. There's case law on this, but whether or not that rises to the level of contempt, right? And it's kind of all over the place a little bit, Your Honor. We are aware of some second DCA cases out there that talk about this particular issue, but really what we have is, okay, we definitely have an issue here where I expect the respondents to argue, well, the children didn't want to go, and the therapist said they didn't. I can tell you the therapist in the therapy notes, I saw no notation where the therapist said they couldn't go. What you do see is some parroting that's coming from the respondent through the children to the therapist.
I'm going to object, Your Honor. He's proffering testimony of what he believes he's proffering testimony from counseling records. There's been no 12.363 order to allow the counselor to testify or for the counselor's notes to come in. So I don't know why we're talking about them. They're not admitted, and my understanding is they can't be admitted under these circumstances.
I will let you know that when I'm listening to opening statements, I don't take it as evidence. I don't take anything he's telling me as evidence.
Thank you. Anyway, these therapy notes, obviously, we can deal with that issue when we get to it. The kids do go to therapy for several months, and time kind of goes on. So then what happens is, so Thomas, the petitioner in this case, does not receive any visitation. There are numerous emails to the respondent, him saying, hey, when am I going to see the kids? When can I see the kids? Tell the kids that I love them, all of this type of stuff. The respondent always responds, the kids aren't ready to see you, they don't want to see you, that's not going to happen, and I'm worried about their emotional state. In other words, that in this case, this is what the case law is for, is that, okay, if you just have the child saying, I don't want to go, that's one thing, but you need some act by the custodial parent that helps facilitate that. And that's really what we have here, That's why this April 22nd thing is so important, because what that does, using the plaintiff, the respondent's own words, characterizing this as a kidnapping, when there was no issue with visitation before April 22nd, is a direct attempt to go ahead and poison and alienate the children, the young children, an 8-year-old, and I believe a 12-year-old at the time, against their father. And that's basically what happened to a large degree. She got what she wanted. There was some hesitation by the children at that point to see their father, despite the father's repeated attempts to do that. The father, and used our testimony from the father, that he went ahead and went to the reported pickup site. The respondent would not show. They would say the kids got sick, or create some excuse for that. And always falling back on, hey, we're not going to go until the children say it's okay to go. And the case law is clear on this as well, Your Honor. An 8-year-old child does not get to decide that. That may be a factor that the court consider, but there on its face cannot just play, I don't want to go with dad, therefore we're not going to have visitation. Just think of the nightmare that would create for the court system. Nor can you simply go to a therapist and use that as a conduit to get that exact same testimony out. It's not enough. So going back to the case law on it, you need to show a couple of things. You need to have intent, right? You have to show some act on the mother. Our act on the mother is we have this kidnapping incident, again, where it was AH that was actually kidnapped, if we're going to use that term, against her will, and set this kind of bad motive in place. So it's the mother's actions that's now influencing and controlling both the 8-year-old and the 12-year-old at the time. So as we continue forward, Your Honor, eventually November 4th of 2004, the petition in this case ultimately went ahead and filed this emergency motion for contempt and a petition for modification to the parenting plan, because obviously the parenting plan was not working. In that instance, despite the best efforts, for whatever reason, there was not a hearing that was granted until now. So almost 13 months later, a hearing was granted. And here's where we are today. And during that time, from the time that that motion was filed until the current day, except for 2 weeks ago, there has been no visitation, overnight visitation allowed by the respondent to petition, to show this ongoing. And there's some case law that talks about if it's the first day, like the first time parents are divorced, and there's a parenting plan, when kids are kind of upset, there's one thing, right? This was not the first day that these children were dealing with divorced parents. It's not the first day that they were dealing with visitation. I think that's an important distinction, especially when you look at the fact that from April of 2024, the beginning of April, before that, there were no issues with visitation. There was no child ever said, oh, I don't want to go with my father. There was no allegations of abuse. There was no allegations of physical or verbal abuse or anything like that. It wasn't until this incident that everything went ahead and changed. So we have the intent of the mother now changing, and now the actions of the mother now changing. And despite no wrongdoing on behalf of the petitioner, he has not had visitation. But here's where the story gets even more interesting, and why we have so many cameras in this courtroom even right now. There's this continued effort for the petitioner to see his children, that there's plenty of email traffic and text messages that sort through where he's trying to establish and reconnect with his children during the time period of January of 2025 up until the present time. What happens during the May-ish time frame, 2025, the respondent in this case goes ahead and tells the petitioner that she would like to take the children on a cruise, in which case, it is related to this, on a cruise, right? And then in which case...
Your Honor, I'm going to object. You just sent an email to counsel yesterday indicating that you were only hearing...
I did. Two things,
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Molinelli. One, I will not hear anything that has to do with that second motion. I did send an email about that. That's number one. Number two, I will remind you both, we have 1 hour.
Yes, ma'am.
We've been 15 minutes.
Yes, ma'am.
Actually more than 15 because I started splitting, right? And okay.
The only issue about the cruise is consent issue. There's nothing, we're not talking about anything else that was alleged in the prior motion. It's just that the petition in this case did not consent, and this goes basically to the respondent's ongoing attempts to basically thwart the petition in this case's parental role in this case. That's all I'm talking about, is that there was no consent. That's it, nothing about anything else. I understand what the court said. I saw the email. I do appreciate it. In any event, so there was a hearing that resulted from that. The first time that the petitioner was able to get overnight visitation, well, there was a Thanksgiving, so there was a Thanksgiving day in which the petitioner had a perfectly fine Thanksgiving with the one-child VH. They went over to his residence in Hernando County. They spent the day. The exchanges went fine. The drop-off went fine. The pickup went fine. Everything went fine. Dropped the child off. There was no big commotion about any of that. The hearing takes place on the 5th. Later that afternoon, they had visitation again. That's his first overnight visitation. His first overnight visitation on December 5th, 2025, from April of 2024. In that case, VH goes to the designated drop-off point. They drop the child off. The child does go with the petitioner in this case for the overnight visitation. We're going to have testimony from Mr. Hudson about that, about what happened during that visit. It was a perfectly fine visit. You'll have testimony from age as well too. Andrew Hudson, who's 18 years old now, about that particular visit. There's photographs that we submitted as an exhibit to show that visit went without a hitch. VH actually stated to her father and VH to be reunited so that they can go ahead and foster and re-foster that bond that they had, which was very, very strong before this incident happened. Based on that, Your Honor, we think, and you're going to hear the testimony in this case, that cumulatively what that demonstrates is the response in this case, willful determination to thwart the parenting plan, and is the basis for a motion to contempt. Also in contravention to Section 61 that deals with the time sharing activity. Because of that, Your Honor, we're going to ask for 140 days of makeup time. We're going to establish that, and we'll get that through Mr. Hudson about how we came to that figure, as well as an enforcement from this court saying, hey, we need to follow this enforcement plan regardless if the child says they don't want to go or not. We need to have a plan in place to deal with that, as well as attorney fees and costs. I appreciate your indulgence. I know I went a little bit long, and we will get to the testimony in this case, but thank you very much.
Citizen?
Briefly, the respondent and petitioner entered into an amended parenting plan back on March 12, 2024 to allow her to relocate with all 3 children of the marriage to Brevard County. The agreement is very clear. It's in writing. There's nothing ambiguous about it. Both parties signed it. As a matter of fact, both parties drafted it themselves and read it and signed it and submitted it to the court, and then the court entered an order ratifying that and ordering the parties to comply with that agreement. Yes, Ms. Hudson, now Mrs. Kepner, was in fact divorced. She started dating Mr. Kepner back in October of 2023. There were issues with the children even at that time. They tried to say that prior to that, to her wanting to move over there, that everything was ideal. It was not. The children had been in counseling since December of 2023. So even before the move to Brevard County was contemplated by the parties. I should also note that on this agreement that they signed, which is an amended parenting plan, it says very clearly in the amended parenting plan that any modifications to this parenting plan shall be in writing and signed by the parties. They want to come in here and tell you that my client is in contempt because she removed the child, the eldest child, from school in Hernando County and moved him to Brevard County. She didn't violate anything. That's what the paperwork says. It's in plain English. Everybody can read, and they understood it. He signed it. But now they want to come in and say that somehow she's in contempt for wanting to take the 3 children, which is what the agreement says. So I do think that is a problem. And then he's trying to say that there was no tracking. He had location tracking device on the child, so he knew where the child was. He arrived at the respondent's residence and started screaming and yelling to the other 2 minor children to get their ass out there to come and see him. He was very vulgar and rude with them. And so there was a natural fear that these children had about going there. And during the time, it should be noted, they filed this an emergency motion. They call it an emergency motion for contempt that they filed on November 4th of 2024. It was denied as an emergency and told to be set on the court's regular calendar. They never set it for hearing until October of this year, over almost a year later, for a hearing date for December, which is today, December 17th. So if it was such an emergency that you had to ask the court to give you emergency hearing time, why don't you wait a year to set it for hearing? The reason why they wanted to wait a year to set it for hearing, Your Honor, is because when he took the oldest child, he came down to Brevard County and took the oldest child on that April 22nd day, brought him back. He never allowed the mother to have contact with the eldest child, claiming that the child didn't want to see her. So he's in violation of the very agreement that he's accusing Mom of being in violation. And under the clean hands doctrine, you can't ask to hold somebody in contempt of an order that they're not themselves in compliance with. But the eldest child turned 18 in October of this year. And so thereafter, that's when he set this hearing for December, interestingly. The children have been in counseling the entire time. That is the time frame crafted in the motion, which is basically from March of 2024 up to November of 2024. The children have been in counseling, so these issues were discussed. And as a matter of fact, with all the emails and notes that opposing counsel mentioned, there's emails asking the father to participate with counseling with these 2 younger children. There was no counseling that mother was asked to participate with regard to the eldest child. And he said the child was in counseling, wouldn't even tell the child or tell the mother what the full name of the counselor was. So the mother couldn't even call to get that information. But having said that, he's had this opportunity to participate in counseling. And there were weekends where he asked for time sharing, which mother complied with. On some of the weekends, they were her weekends. She even offered and invited him to Thanksgiving last year. And they're putting in their motion that he didn't get Thanksgiving. Well, if you read the agreement, again, the one they signed together in March, it says that in even years, which would have been 2024, she gets Thanksgiving. It's not even his Thanksgiving. So I don't think she can be in contempt of something that, again, she wasn't in violation of to begin with, because it doesn't comport with what's in the agreement. And the last thing, and I know we're not here to talk about the unfortunate cruise, but when he's saying he's just doing it for consent purposes, if you read, the same amended parenting plan that they signed, it clearly says she doesn't need his consent. She's required to give 60 days notice that she's going to take the children out of the country, which she did comport with. So, again, she did what she was supposed to do and acted at all times in accordance with the parenting plan. There were many weekends where the father didn't even, it was his weekend for every other weekend time sharing, didn't even ask, didn't confirm. One time he didn't even show up for the time sharing. My clients went to the meeting place, didn't even show up. So, again, I don't see how this client can be found in contempt. Furthermore, the Florida law provides that even if you were to find that there was any contemptuous behavior, changing custody is not the answer to it. In fact, the case law supports that you can't change custody as a basis for that. And it also depends on what's the best interest of the children. If the court doesn't find that it would have been in the best interest of the children to do that at that time, then certainly there could be no contempt as well. And thank you.
You want to call your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor, we would like to call Andrew Hudson.
Your Honor, I did want to invoke the rule. I don't know, I don't know if they're all from the press or if they're written decision. I don't know if they are.
Don't miss one.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to make sure I wanted to invoke the rule.
Yes. So if there's any witnesses, you said, Mr. Molinari, that you have no witnesses here?
No, just Andrew Hudson and then Thomas Hudson. I thought they didn't do this.
Okay. And there's no other witnesses from you, Ms. Addison?
No, they're outside.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Hudson, please raise your right hand, please swear in. Swear or affirm that everything you tell the court is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Okay. I'm going to need you, sir, to speak loud into the microphone so I can hear you, okay? Okay, thanks. Mr. Molinari, you may proceed.
Thank you, ma'am. Will you please state your name?
Andrew Hudson,
And Andrew, how old?
18,
And when did you turn 18?
October 4th this year.
October 4th, you said?
Yes, ma'am.
And Andrew, where do you live?
I live with my dad,
And where is that?
in Ridge Manor, I believe,
What county is that? You know?
Orlando.
And how long have you lived with your father?
About 2 years.
Has your father ever denied you access to your mother, Shauntel?
No,
The entire time that you've been, has he ever told you that you cannot speak with, communicate, visit, or see Shauntel in any way, shape, or form?
no,
So, are you currently in school?
yes,
Let's back up a little bit. There was a time when, obviously, your mother was married to Thomas. Remember that?
yes.
And obviously, you were alive during some of that time period.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever recall a time in which your father verbally, physically abused or assaulted any of your siblings, either TH or BH?
No, sir.
Did you ever see a time when he was verbally or physically abusive to your mother, Shauntel?
No, sir.
Now, they got divorced, correct?
Yes,
And then as a result of the divorce, you had to do, like most normal kids do, you had to do everything. Not a great thing, correct? Because it was
yes,
And so roughly between 2022 and let's call it January 2024, did you in fact have regular visitation with your father in her name?
yes,
And were your siblings, both PH and TH, were they present during these visitations?
yes,
Was there ever a time that you witnessed either yourself or your siblings saying they did not want to visit with or spend time with your father?
no, sir.
Sure.
During the time, no,
Has there ever been any allegations of abuse, physical or otherwise, by your father of yourself or any of the children?
I'm aware of apparently a BB gun, someone getting shot with a BB gun, but other than that,
He said they did not want to spend time with your father.
no,
So I want to move a little bit forward to 2024, and you're in high school.
yes.
And what year are you now?
I'm a senior year, 12th grade,
And when are you going to graduate?
this year.
And how are you doing in school?
I'm doing good.
Going to graduate on time?
Yes, sir.
And do you have any plans for after school?
I plan on going to trade school or possibly get put on an oil rig out in the Gulf.
And did you actually apply to trade school?
I've been looking around to see what trade schools are open to it.
And that's something you want to pursue after high school?
Yes, sir.
All right. So I want to take us back a little bit now to the spring of 2024 time frame. And was there an occasion in which your mother told you that she wanted to move to Titusville with both your two other siblings?
She said yes.
And what did she tell you?
She said that she was going to move over there with those two and that I could finish out my senior year of high school over here.
So your mother specifically told you that you could spend the rest of your time, your high school time, here in your neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
Was that important to you?
Yes, sir.
Why was that important to you?
It was my senior year, and I knew everybody over here, and all my family's over here, so I would.
What high school did you go to?
Fernando High School,
And those are people that you went to high school with for the entire time then?
my whole life.
And then, so, did there come a time when you told your mother that you did not want to go to Brevard County or to Titusville with her?
I told her that I was thinking about staying over with my dad after I finished high school.
And how did your mother respond to that?
She said that this is what she was afraid of and that this is why she didn't want me staying over here.
So I want to fast forward to an incident on April 22nd, 2024. You remember roughly that day?
Yes.
So what happened on that day?
I was called up to the front office, and I originally didn't know what was going on, so I came up without my stuff. I realized my mom was there to pick me up, so I had to go back to my classroom and grab my stuff. And when I walked out to the car with them, they asked for me to give them my phone, and they powered off my phone, and then told me.
Let me stop there for a second, just so I can break it down. So the time that you were being called to, was it the principal's office or?
It was to the front office, the main office.
At the time that you were called, did your mother communicate to you at all, hey, the reason why that she was going to school?
No, sir.
Did you have any knowledge or idea that your mother was going to school to get you on that particular day?
No, sir.
And then when you get there, were you surprised that you saw your mother?
Yes, sir.
Was Christopher Kepner there as well too?
I don't remember if he was in the office at the time, but he was in the car for sure.
And then, so the mother, Shauntel, escorted you from the office to Christopher Kepner's vehicle?
Yes. Well, it's her vehicle, but yes.
And then, so what happened once you got in the vehicle?
They asked for my phone, they took my phone, I powered it off, and then,
Let me stop you there. So your phone did have a Life 360 or tracking device?
yes.
Does a Life 360 or tracking device work if your phone is turned off?
No, not to my knowledge.
And then, so do you have any means to communicate with your father or anyone else about what was going on at that particular moment?
I was going to try to text my dad, but
What was your intention of trying to get out of the vehicle once they came to a stop?
trying to get out of the vehicle so they couldn't take me away from everything.
And then what did Christopher Kepner do at that point?
They had held me against the seat, and he put his arm around the back of my neck, holding me up against the front seat. She held me there as well.
Was your mother still in the front seat or did she go to the back seat?
At that time, she had crawled to the back seat and started holding me.
And then Christopher Kepner, what exactly did he do with his arm?
He put his arm around my neck, like pushed me up against the front seat.
So was your head pinned against the front seat?
Yes, sir.
And did you remain conscious the whole time or did you black out? Or?
I believe I blacked out once or twice on the way over there.
Yes.
So I'm going to show you a series of photographs.
I'm going to object to answer the question about this incident as a matter of race judicata. There was already a petition for domestic violence injunction filed in Fernando County, which we asked the court to take judicial notice of previously, and there's a judgment saying that it was completely dismissed.
I'd like to see a case on actually applying to an injunction that was filed and has nothing to do with issues in this case. There are two separate issues. They're being offered two separate insurance clauses. I'd like to see a case that says that.
However, Mr. Culinary, once you establish to me that the reason why you were mentioning that incident of April of 24, from that point forward, once you establish that baseline, explain to me what the relevance for purposes of the motion of November of 2024 as it pertains to TH and DH. Going forward any deeper into what happened to this gentleman here, how is that going to help me anymore?
Yes, sir. That's actually an excellent point. And the reason why this whole incident is so important is because the respondent in this case went ahead and was using it as a basis as to why DH and GH don't want to see their fathers because they're afraid that their fathers on the kidnap.
You explained that to me. You told me that.
Yes.
And he already said that he didn't want to go. He already explained that. So I don't know what kind of photographs you have there, but given that you're talking about him blacking out and that you got to that point, going any further, I fail to see what additional relevance that is. How is that going to help me any further?
Yeah, sure. And all this, honestly, is to enforce the importance of this April 22nd issue. Because, again, there were no visitation issues before this. This incident on April 22nd was the linchpin, was the cause that creates the alienation down the road. And the case law states that it can't be simply enough if the child says, I don't want to go, and the mother does nothing. There's some case law that suggests that's not enough. And so what we want to make sure is that the court's aware that there is a motivation and actually an action by the mother in this case.
I got that.
Okay, and the court has that, and if you have a need more, I can certainly move on. Like I said, photographs substantiate exactly what Mr. Hudson talked about. If you don't need to see that, that's fine.
I do not.
Okay, thank you. I will continue in the sake of time to keep going forward. So, kind of moving forward then, just to kind of, if I can, I'll just close this up real quickly.
Thank you.
Yes. So you get to Titusville, and then ultimately what was you maybe had a decision on what you wanted to do?
What do you mean?
When you got to, eventually to Titusville, both respondent's house and Chris Kepner's house, you were released, correct?
Yes.
And then you were offered a choice either to stay there or to go with your father?
She had told me to go into the house, but I went and got in my dad's truck instead.
And that was your intent, and that's what you wanted?
Yes.
All right, fair enough. That's enough on that incident. We'll move forward a little bit to kind of the present time. And so you have remained at your father's residence from to the present time, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, and then you were there in this past Thanksgiving when there was a visit by your sibling, BH?
Yes.
And did you have a chance to interact and see BH?
Yes.
And how was that visit?
We had a great time. She looked like she was having the time of her life out there.
Did she ever tell you she wanted to go home, or she was scared of her dad, or she didn't want to get kidnapped by her dad?
No, sir.
Was there anything negative about that visit that you wish to tell the court about that visit on Thanksgiving?
No, sir.
And then I want to move forward a little bit now to a weekend visitation that occurred on December 5th through December 8th. Were you there at the time?
Yes, sir.
Were you there the entire time?
Yes, sir.
Did you have an opportunity to visit with BH?
Yes, sir.
And how was that visit?
It went great. She had a great time.
What type of things did you do?
We went out fishing, I believe, once, and then we hung around the house and just played outside.
And was BH at that point interacting, laughing, joking?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, this is again about something, this is about visits in 2025, and you clearly said we're not talking about 2025, so I don't understand.
This is relevant because the case law supports this. In order to resting from makeup, and resting for 140 days of makeup. And we can't just say makeup time. The court has to consider, as I'm sure counsel is aware, the best interest of the child, right? And what I anticipate the responding and saying is, BH really still doesn't want to go with the dad. She doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to visit, or maybe ask for some other type of therapy or something like that. We need to establish, number one, 140 days. And then we need to establish that it's the best interest of the child to give those evidence. And this testimony is being introduced in order to establish that there's a very purposeful and positive reinforcement of the relationship between Mr. Hudson and BH. And it's important for this court to consider and allow that relationship, unimpeded by the respondent in this case, to continue. And it's our burden to produce that, and that's what this testimony is showing. There's not a whole lot more about this, Your Honor, because we only one visit, and that's all that is.
You can move it along.
Thank you. So anyway, that visit, positive visit?
Yes, sir.
Did she ever tell you she did not want to be with her father?
No, sir.
Did she ever tell you she wanted to go home?
No, sir.
1 second, Your Honor. One of the things that was brought up by counsel during her statement. Before January 2024, were you at any time? November 2023 or anything like that?
No, not that I remember.
Thank you. That's all I was saying.
You said no more questions this morning?
That's all the questions I have.
Okay,
Thank you.
cross.
Mr. Hudson, you were when you came and you were living with your dad, you were living with him in a camper part of the time, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the majority of the time you were living with your grandmother in 2024, correct?
Sometimes, yes, but mostly it was with my dad.
And this camper, it didn't have a bunch of bedrooms, right? Correct?
No, but it had plenty of beds to sleep on.
You mentioned that there was an incident about a BB gun being shot, and that was at your little sister, correct?
Yes, but it wasn't true.
And your mother was concerned about your grades and you staying up late at night at times when you were at your father's. Is that correct?
Not that I was aware of.
Or you did? Your mother never told you that?
I wasn't staying up late, no.
And you knew that your parents had signed an agreement for all three of you to move over to Titusville, correct?
I believe so.
And it would be fair to say that you have not seen your mother or spent any time with her or even talked to her since April of 2024, correct?
I have not, other than a phone call or two.
I don't have any further questions.
Can you redirect to my notice
No, Your Honor.
for the next one?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, we would call Thomas Hudson.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Hudson. So if you raise your right hand, please order, you swear or affirm to the truth of the Constitution and truth and nothing but the truth. Thank you. You may proceed, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. You may introduce yourself.
Thomas Hudson,
And how old are you, Mr. Hudson?
37,
And where do you currently live?
and so forth.
And how long have you lived there?
Been there since 22.
Are you currently employed?
Yes.
Where do you work?
Half
What is that?
services. It's like a landscape /trade company.
And how long have you worked for Madison?
Probably 12, 13 years.
Was there a time that you were married to Shauntel?
Yes.
How long were you married to Shauntel?
Been close to 15 years.
And then was there a time that you filed for divorce? Are you the one that filed for divorce that night?
Yes.
Roughly when did you file for divorce?
That was shortly after October 22.
And then as a result of that divorce, was there an agreement for you guys to parent your children?
Yes.
How many children do you have? And they are AH, Andrew obviously is 18, but BH and TH, correct?
Yes.
And then as a result of that parenting plan back in October of 2022, were you awarded overnight weekend visitation alternating with your children?
Yes. And a couple of days during the week.
Were they overnight during the week, or was it just,
During the week was just for 2 hours.
then obviously the standard holidays and all that?
Correct.
Between October of 22nd, October of 2022, up until, let's call it the beginning of, or before April 22nd, 2024. So that, roughly 2.5 year period. Did you have regular overnight visitation with all three of your children?
Yes.
During that time period, was there ever a time when any one of your children told you they didn't want to be with you? Did any of your children ever express any fear? Has there ever been any allegations made against you of abusing verbally or physically your children from the time of October 22nd up until April 2020?
No.
Yeah, this question, do you love your children?
Yes.
You love all three of your children,
Yes.
including TH,
Yes.
including BH,
Yes.
including H.
Yes.
Do you want to have regular and meaningful visitation and communication with all of your children?
Yes.
So I want to kind of move us to keep us relevant here. There was a time before, well, right around January 2024, when you became aware of Shauntel engaging in a relationship with a person by the name of Christopher.
Yes.
Do you know about what time frame that you first introduced him into the relationship? Do you remember?
It's around January, I think. I think it was late January.
And of course, did you have any issue with that? Did there come a time when Shauntel, the respondent in this case, came to you with the notion of wanting to reside over in Brevard County to Titusville, Florida?
Yes.
Can you roughly tell us kind of what happened in that conversation, or what was told about Shauntel?
I mean, I wasn't happy about it, but it was in the best interest of the kids for better schooling, and she said she had better job opportunities over there.
And is that the only reason why you agreed to this relocation?
Yes.
Were you assured that you would still get regular visitation that you were having and enjoying before this incident?
Yes.
And you eventually signed this parenting agreement, correct?
Yes.
I know that council's already mentioned that, should probably show it to you as well too. You're generally familiar with that parenting agreement?
Yes.
And that parenting agreement allowed for you to have overnight weekend visitation, correct?
Yes.
And kind of for holidays? Does anywhere in that agreement that you would call this to say that one parent can withdraw or withhold visitation to another parent simply because the child does not want to go? If that was in the agreement, would you have signed that?
No.
All right. So, did there come a time frame when the respondent Shauntel moved to Titusville? And around what time frame was it?
I think it was early April.
And at that point, what happened with Andrew Hudson?
He stayed with me.
And why did he stay with you?
He finished out the school year.
And just to be clear on this point, at any time from then until the present, did you ever tell Andrew that you could not see with, visit with, or speak with his mother?
No, he has his own phone, and I've always left that up to him if he wants to call her, talk to her, anything.
Would you have any issue at all if Andrew decided, hey, I want to go spend a weekend or whatever with during the entire time with this whole period, from 2024 to the present?
No, my only concern would be what happened between the mother and Chris.
And we'll stay away from that. We've already got enough on that, so that'll be my So I want to get to that point, though, where we go ahead and so that both, at that point, TH and BH are removed to Titusville. And Andrew was saying, all right. And before this April 22nd incident, and between the time of when she went to Titusville and the April 22nd incident, did you have visitation with BH and TH?
Before?
Yeah, in between that time frame. Between the time when she was tied to children and before the insemination.
Yeah, I believe it was only like 1 weekend.
And then you had boards with it, the parenting plan. At that point, before the April 22nd incident, you had a regular visitation with all 3 children? Any issues with that? Did any of the children tell you that they don't want to be there? Did any of those children say they wanted to leave home? Okay. And then so obviously we already talked about this April 22nd incident, but using that as the date, is that when things began to change? All right. And then you corresponded on the phone with Shauntel?
Yeah, phone, email, text, the parenting app.
And there's a lot of different communications going back.
Yes.
I think we've all filed them and all of these to a certain degree. But I want to pay particular attention, and I'm going to make a coach.
Yes, sir.
So this is, you can just tell me kind of what this is and tell us what the date is. Also, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll make sure I do that. Take your time. Take your time. Yeah, yeah. So you know. He's just going to go on that. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to question. All right. So this is an email or a message that somehow I can't figure out. So what that?
This was over the phone, just text.
Okay. All right. And what's the date of that text?
4/24.
Okay, so this is 2 days after the April 22nd incident, right?
Yes.
And then what are you asking for in that particular text message between Shauntel?
I just asked for a copy of the insurance cards for the kids, and I asked her if she would get back to me about this weekend for me to pick up the kids.
All right, so that was part of so the incident happened on April 22nd. You have the weekend on April, that weekend, and you're asking about that visitation.
Yes.
Okay, I'll be a good counsel. So I'm going to hand you another one here. You just take a look at that. And what's the date of that email?
4/26.
And what are you doing on this 4/26 email?
I messaged her saying I'm still waiting on a response to see the kids, and I asked for a response to all the other info that I needed.
And had she given you a response at that point? Show you another email or message. And what's the date of that message?
4/28.
Can you read what was written in that item?
I just said it was great that I was able to talk to Timothy and Brooke tonight.
So stop there. So at that point, you actually spoken with Timothy and Brooke?
Yes.
So this is after the April 22nd incident, before the therapy, that's when this happened?
Yes.
Okay, so read that loud so I can hear it.
After I said it was great to talk to Timothy and Brooke tonight, thank you. That being said, once they both want to see me and Brooke definitely wants to come over, please let me know when I can come and get them to visitation.
So let me stop you there. So on that particular phone call, based upon that memorization of that phone call, did Brooke express to you a fear of you that you were going to kidnap her? Did she tell you that she had one with them?
Objection.
Your Honor, it's a statement. Not only for proof of what Brooke actually said, but it's the effect upon the listener, how this relates to the whole kidnapping and examination. Not only for... Okay?
Oh,
Thank you. Go ahead. So Brooke never told you that she won't go?
No.
All right, continue.
Brooke definitely wants to come over. Please let me know.
Speak up, so I hear you.
Please let me know when I can come and get them for visitation. If not, this coming weekend, since I was denied last weekend. Then, and anything in between, or maybe the following weekend. Looking forward to seeing them. I miss them. If you don't want to meet at our designated spot, then I can come to you, trying my best to cooperate with you.
And then, okay.
Yeah.
27th.
Correct, other than recently.
Other than recent, yes. So read the June 5th one, what happened there?
Please tell the kids I love them and miss them. Hope to see them soon. Let me know if we can meet at the racetrack to start my 4 weeks over the summer, Sunday night or Monday afternoon.
And did she respond to you to that?
Yes.
And what did she tell you on June 6th in that email?
Please reread the emails in regard to visitation. As it has been stated multiple times, unless the kids voice to me their therapist or their therapist, I'm not making any arrangements at this time unless they ask me or their therapist to do so. I am respecting them and wanting what's best for them. At this time, child support, it talks about child support.
Any objections?
No.
Okay, so there will be admitted as petitioners composite number 1.
Yes, thank you. Now, since that time, well, you asked for summer visitation then too, correct?
Yes.
Did she ever respond to you or tell you you could have summer visitation?
No, that was what she responded, what just last read.
And from the time that she first wrote that in writing on June 5th, shortly after the therapy visit at the beginning of May, did you ever get visitation with the children?
No.
And has she constantly maintained that the reason why you haven't gotten visitation was because the children just simply didn't want to go?
Yes.
Now, since that time, obviously a lot of weekends have passed. Have you, on occasions, went ahead and reached out to Shauntel and asked her for visitation?
Yes.
And what has been the response consistently throughout?
Just that they don't want to talk or see me at this time.
And so you have never had any overnight visitation from then until now.
Correct.
But are there times when you have requested or you have showed up for your weekend at the designated spot you're supposed to be in?
Yes.
Were there times when you showed up there?
Yes.
And were there times that she didn't do it, she did not?
Correct.
Now, we heard counsel stating that there were times when she showed up at a visitation spot and that you didn't show up.
I was unaware of that.
Are you aware of any time where she said, hey, let's meet at the racetrack and you did not show up?
No.
Is there a text message, a voicemail, an email, a phone call, anything saying, hey, Thomas, come get my kids on this date, I'm going to meet you there and you didn't show up? That's just simply not happening.
Yeah, I was not aware of it.
And suffice to say, again, there are multiple times where you would ask for visitation and been told the same answer.
Yes.
Now, there are a few occasions where she did agree that you had to drive over here to meet so the kids could be together.
Yes.
But that wasn't for you, was it?
No, we met, I think it was in Winter Garden at a park one time, and that was for the kids.
And were you specifically instructed by Shauntel, or were you specifically instructed by Shauntel to stay in your car?
I was. That time at the park, I seen Brooke briefly, but the other time was in front of City Hall, I believe, in Winter Garden, and I didn't get out of the car for that at all. I was told to stay in the car.
And then so Shauntel was dictating terms of you and this very limited interaction.
Yes.
And how many times did that happen?
It was only 2 times that we actually met up.
And that was in the park for how long?
The park was maybe for an hour, and in front of City Hall was for like a half hour.
Now, okay, let's take the visitation side. Let's talk about communication. Was there a means where you guys talked about a way where you could communicate both to Brooke and to BH and to GH?
Yes.
And how was that supposed to happen, like during the week or whatever?
I would call or text them, we didn't set up with them. At one time, she set up a specific time frame between 7 and 8 in the afternoon to call, but that didn't really work out well either.
Did you have a means where you could regularly communicate with BH through call or text or anything like that?
They had a phone, but I would never get a response on a rare occasion.
So you had very little, not only you had no in-person communication, you had very little oral communication both with BH and TH. And I'm not going to go through all these. There are numerous emails and text messages that are between you two guys talking about you wanting for her to tell the kids that you love them,
Yes.
and then you wanted to see them.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit now, just kind of move forward, just to kind of wrap this portion up. You eventually did get your first visitation recently?
Yes.
And when was the first time that you actually got to see, hold, and hug BH?
Thanksgiving.
And how did that make you feel?
Great.
And how did BH respond?
At first, she was a little hesitant when we did the exchange, but before we even got home, everything was almost back to normal. Fine. She was talkative. Everything was good at the house.
Was she crying when she was at Thanksgiving?
No, and we even went and seen. We had Thanksgiving with family members, and everything was good.
And did she tell you, hey, she didn't want to see you or she didn't want to be with you at all? And then you have another visit with BH.
Yes, the following weekend.
And was that the first time? And that was a hearing that day, right?
Yes.
And so you were all here for that hearing. I know you talked about that, but you were here for that hearing.
Yes.
And that afternoon was the first time that you saw any first time in overnight visitation with BH?
Yes.
And how did that exchange go?
Change went fine.
Was there any issues with BH at that point crying or saying that she didn't want to go or anything like that?
Nope.
Did she ever tell you anything like, please don't kidnap me or anything like that?
No.
And then where did you take her back?
Where?
Yes.
The racetrack.
I'm sorry, what you took her back to, once you picked her up, where did you go?
Oh, home.
And home being Carnival County?
Yes.
All right, and so I know that there's been talk and maybe some remarks that you were living in a camper, right?
Originally, when I first went out there, yes.
So why were you living in a camper?
Because I left for the house and I took our camper to stay out there.
That's the only place you had to live?
At the moment, yeah.
And did you eventually change that?
Yeah, I went into a residence camper and then now I'm in a house. We had a house put out on the property.
Let's just talk about when the kids were with you in this camper that council brought up. You all able to sleep in the camper?
Yes. There was,
Did the kids ever say, oh, I don't want to sleep in the camper?
no.
Any issues about you guys being in the camper?
No.
And now you actually have a house.
Yes.
And you all these have their own rooms.
Yes.
And then during this visit, this overnight weekend visit, can you please tell the board kind of what happened?
Good. She was playing, running around. We were outside, riding side by side. We went fishing. I mean, just a normal weekend.
So, I'm going to hand you a picture.
Your Honor, we're going to object on this basis because these are pictures what council told me from November of 2025, and the scope of the motion is what didn't happen in 2024.
Yes, Your Honor. Again, I'm requiring burdens to establish that it's the best interest of the child for the time for the sanctions that were requested. 140 days. I can't just simply say, give us 140 days without the case law is very specific on this. That I need to give a basis and the court needs to be comfortable with that it is in fact the best interest of the child for Mr. Hudson to get 140 days of make-up time in addition to his regularly scheduled visitation. So the only visitation that he had was in this weekend. And I believe it's relevant for the board to consider when they see the pictures and see the motives of the child and what happened to the child to show that, hey, this in fact is in the best interest of the child. In other words, there's no evidence here that this child is fearful of being kidnapped or abused or neglected for their lives. And that's why these photographs are extremely relevant to that point, Your Honor, and it's part of my burden.
On that note, however, 3:30, we had 1 hour. Time's up. So, how far are you from?
I'm almost done. I got the late 2 minutes. And that's all I have.
Okay. I'm going to allow him to finish. Then I'm going to stop in the middle of your cross. And here will have to be.
That's fine. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Anyway, so briefly, Mr. Hudson, what is that picture of?
Brooke and one of our nails.
And then, how about this?
That was us
reference, this is December 5th, 6th, 7th of this past year.
Yeah.
And here, well,
This was at my mother's house. They were all out there playing football. That is her step-siblings and cousins.
so Mr. Hudson, does Brooke in fact have family over in Emmanuel County?
Yes.
What family's over there for her?
Everybody. We were born and raised there,
Does she have any family in Titusville?
other than her mother.
And, Mr. Hudson, we're asking for 140 days of makeup. How did you come to that figure?
2 summers, the 4 weeks each summer that I missed, and holidays here and there.
So basically 2 4-week periods, and then every other weekend from roughly April of 2024 to the present.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, sir. Those are all the questions that I have. Your Honor.
Okay, so, I understand that both council are from the county, and I do understand it was a little difficult to schedule. I don't know if you are all familiar with the jack system we have here?
Ma'am,
If you are not?
I am.
Okay, so that's how my office schedules.
Yes.
I will suggest to you all that perhaps 1 hour is not going to be enough for the continuance. If it's more than an hour, my suggestion is don't do it through Jax. Perhaps call my office so Ms. Bernal can offer you more than 1 hour.
Yes. We'll work it. We'll work with council. We'll figure it out. Hopefully get it sooner rather than later. I don't need one of us wants to present it. The only thing that I would ask you, Your Honor, obviously he's scheduled for presentation this weekend. I would like to get that back on track. And I don't see any reason why that should not happen.
That will happen. Is it your weekend? Oh, the start of Christmas break is this weekend.
Yeah, well, whatever the agreement, we agree.
Yeah, whatever it says, she's good there.
Okay, I'm fine with that as well.
Okay.
So representing council, whatever the visitation agreement, the parenting agreement is fine with us. That's going to go forward, no issue.
I understand that was before just Scottsdale. The
Yes.
two of you will
Yeah,
figure
yeah,
that one out.
Yes, I want to have your, your phone.
What I do like to place on the record, so when we come back, everybody's on the same page, and we're gonna make my note. We are leaving this with Mr. Hudson on the stand, direct from his counsel has concluded. We will pick up with cross-examination from mom's counsel. Everybody's on the same page.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, perfect.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, both counsel. And I will see you all when we reconvene.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you to renotice the hearing whenever it gets rescheduled.
I will take care of it.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon. We are off the record.
Less than a day. Start there of an afternoon and then. Yes, yeah, he just. It was just one of those moments where we I thought I was going to see that.
For these.
I just thought I'd be called up.
Yeah.
Sure enough. Still not yeah, this is stuff about it's such a tank. I'm worried. Well, now they're done with these things. They're not going to want another it would just be
I'm seeing if it's even on your homepage. I'm seeing if it's even on your homepage. No, I got it.
when I know they're obviously held it.
Oh yeah, it's on here.
I mean, it's just four emails.
There's a besides, I think that actually issue may fit.
Please do for my because they have to slide
They